Okay everybody, Tectalar here again with the second installment of my Heroes Appendix video series. Its purpose is to help newer and veteran players alike to fully understand the ins and outs of all the characters in Hero Wars Mobile. In today's video, we are reviewing the winner of the most recent vote amongst my patrons and my personal favorite hero, Elmir. Elmir is the highest damage output warrior class hero, which means melee damage dealer whose skills primarily revolve around dealing damage. Elmir is an often disregarded hero because of how fragile he can be if he's used in the wrong situations, coupled with the significant investment required to really make him shine. However, once he's in his prime, he can dramatically change the tide of battle just as fast, and if not faster, than the rest of the meta units. In today's video, we're going to be discussing his skills, how they visually appear, their uses both practically and strategically, when to use Elmir, when not to use him, his roles in the team, artifact priority order, skins, how to obtain them, how much investment is required to max them, and what benefits do they offer you. Stat priority and what that means. The first skill up is Elmir's activatable skill, Shifting Sands, which is commonly referred to as his ultimate because this is the ability he can use once his yellow energy gauge is filled during battle. Elmir will do a backflip and retreat to the back of the party behind all other units, changing his role from a warrior to a marksman. He will conjoin his daggers at the hilt to become a bow and begin to shoot arrows from a distance for 10 seconds. In addition, he will grant himself an additional approximately 30,000 physical damage once he's maxed, and he will also use his second skill immediately upon switching weapons. The damage ratio for this skill is only 38% physical attack, which is relatively low, so artifact buffs and even Nebula's buff won't give this a huge boost. However, the real power in his ultimate comes with his artifact weapon and skill synergy, which we will get into a little bit later. You should look to activate this skill to counter the enemy's turtle phase, which is most commonly identified when the opposing tank uses their ultimate skill, which activates their team's armor buff. The exceptions to this would be Galahad, Ziri, and Aurora. For Galahad, you just look to activate it whenever the enemy team has their armor buff active, by paying attention to which support heroes they're using, since Galahad himself doesn't have one. For Ziri and Aurora, wait for their artifact weapon buffs to fade before activating yours, because Ziri gets a 2.5 times multiplier on her armor and magic defense when her ultimate is active, so Elmir's armor penetration still leaves Ziri with a potential whopping 72,500 armor, so it's not worth wasting it during this phase. Aurora's artifact weapon greatly increases the team's dodge, so Elmir is very unlikely to land a hit during this time, thus resulting in a potentially wasted damage boost for your team. This skill is also the key to his survivability, because while he's at the backline next to Dorian, all of his damage will heal him, and he will be hitting for over 50% of his max health per hit. A note to make is damage dealt by his clones will not heal him. The second skill is Mirage. Elmir creates a clone which will appear as a transparent version of himself, which has 70% of his maximum health and will lose 5.83% of Elmir's max health per second until the clone dies or takes enough damage from the enemies. A note to make is that the clone cannot regenerate health or receive help from allies, including Jet's crit buff or Thea's speed boost. The clone can dodge, and their damage taken and damage dealt will be displayed in Elmir's damage chart at the end of the battle. Clones summoned from the front line will stand in front of Elmir and the tank if he's in position to. If the clones are summoned at the back line, they will stand behind Elmir and his allies, protecting them from Ju as well as Jorgen's curse. Elmir's third skill is passive. It is called Perfect Blades. The Sand clones get the ability to auto-attack enemies, for about 25% of Elmir's total damage when maxed. The clones, created during his ultimate, will gain ranged attacks. Alright guys, you're not going to believe this. After doing my review for this video, I reached out to an advisor regarding Elmir, and since we're talking about quote-unquote many truths, which is the name of his fourth skill, I feel it pertinent to say that Elmir's Force skill is currently bugged. The skill is also tied to all three of his other skills, which means that Elmir is completely bugged from head to toe, which was confirmed by the advisors when I asked, and he has been since he was released, which is probably why he's so powerful. We will see if he gets nerfed in the future, but for now, I'll go over how he currently works. Elmir's Force skill is called Many Truths. When he uses his second skill, Elmir may summon 2 clones at a 60% chance, or 4 clones at a 40% chance. Elmir's Force skill, like every hero's fourth skill, is passive, which means it is always active, with the only prerequisite for this one being that he needs to use his second skill, and this effect will always activate when he does. This skill is signified by 2 or 4 transparent clones coming out of Elmir, either wielding melee or ranged weapons depending on which skill activated the generation of these clones, either the first or the second. The bug goes back to the skill's in-game description, where basically there should be a 12% chance for 1 clone to be summoned. Although it's not possible in the game currently, once you've maxed out the skill, it's guaranteed to always be 2 or 4 as it is now. With Elmir's skills, I'm sure you noticed they all, in one way or another, work off of each other, and the only thing Elmir can do is auto-attack, which just illustrates how his full potential is unleashed once he activates his first skill, Shifting Sands. Elmir is strong enough to solo carry a team with the right support group, or he can bring potential to some teams who would otherwise struggle without him. Let's take a deeper look now and see when you should be using Elmir. The first time, and probably the biggest, is with Dorian. I can't emphasize this enough. Elmir can be deceptively tanky with Dorian present, and it's so good you almost can't use him effectively without Dorian on the team. If your opponent only has 1 tank standing between you and the main damage dealer, sometimes the best option is to go straight through the enemy tank. Since Elmir specializes in removing the enemy's turtle phase, and popular tanks like Astaroth have very low health, Elmir can dispatch him quickly, leaving the midline and backline vulnerable. The only tanks this might not apply to is Aurora and Ziri, as previously mentioned. The third reason to consider using Elmir is if you want to optimize Daredevil's potential. This hero was recently reworked, and basically Elmir's clones can proc Daredevil's fire support skill, and he also provides her with much needed armor penetration. The fourth time to consider using Elmir is with Leon. Leon's charm hits the entire enemy team and puts them to sleep for 7 seconds with her ultimate, leaving Elmir a lot of time to rip the front line to shreds since he is unable to break her charm. A fifth time that's good to use Elmir, and for some reason it's with a very uncommonly used hero, Judge. Against some teams, Elmir can seem like he doesn't have enough time to ramp up to use his ultimate. Judge offers him huge protection with his second skill that could afford you the time that you're needing. Now we'll take a look at when you should be avoiding using Elmir in your team. The first time, and probably the biggest that I can think of considering avoiding Elmir, is if you're putting him in a position where he will take way too much damage that he won't be able to use his ultimate. The other time to consider not using him is if the main threat to your team is in the enemy's back line, and you don't have Jurgen to redirect the damage, and Elmir is your sole damage dealer. You need to gauge, are you going to be able to bring down their front line before they bring you down? Now we'll briefly discuss his role in the team, which is relatively straightforward. Depending on the team you're running him in, he can either be your main damage dealer, an off-tank, or supplemental damage dealer who provides armor penetration to his team. Since most of his support comes from his ultimate, ensuring he's in a position he'll be able to use it is of utmost importance. Elmir is one of the heroes who has a single target auto attack, so no matter how close he is to multiple targets, he will always strike one enemy. You should be wary that Elmir is a late bloomer, and that he requires significant investment before you will really start to see him shine. However, once his health, armor penetration, and artifact weapon are high enough, it will become very evident. Next, we'll discuss artifact priority, which means artifacts, which is the most important to level up first. This can vary slightly from stat priority because of the temporary armor penetration buff granted by the artifact weapon. For this choice, you'll have to weigh whether Elmir is your main damage dealer, supplemental damage dealer, or off-tank, or several of the above. If the answer is main damage dealer, the primary objective would be his book. For the other two roles, the focus should be his weapon. Either way, you will interchange these two as his top two in priority, leaving the ring always for last. The reason being is if he's the main damage dealer, he needs to be able to put out consistent numbers, not just during his burst phase, so he can ensure the enemies are low enough to pick off. If he's assisting others, you will want the armor penetration buff to ensure your main damage dealers are doing maximum damage, or if he's an off tank, it will ensure that he will heal for the most possible when he bursts to stay alive. In this segment, we'll be discussing his skins, which are very easy to obtain unless 1. Since he's been around for so long. The top priority skin, which coincidentally is the hardest to obtain, is his Devil skin, which was released during the Halloween event of 2019. It will be available for purchase with skin scrolls again during the Halloween event of 2020, or, if you're lucky, and open enough Outland chests, it has a chance to drop there. It costs a little over 50,000 skin stones to max and yields 10,650 armor penetration, which helps him unlock his full damage potential. The second in priority is his default skin, which only yields about half the physical damage boost of the winter skin, although it costs approximately half to max it, weighing in at approximately 30,000 skin stones, and yields 1,365 agility or 4,095 physical damage as well as 1,365 armor. It's not quite as potent as his physical attack, but it's close. However, this also reduces his chance to be critically hit, as well as the likelihood someone will dodge his attacks. The third in priority is his winter skin, which was released during the winter event in 2017 and is currently available for purchase in-game using skin scrolls. The skin grants him 7,120 physical attack and costing a little over 54,000 skin stones to max, and is the next in priority since all of his roles involve him dealing as much damage as possible. Once the armor penetration is maxed, this is the best way to maximize his damage. The last skin for your priority is his Barbarian skin, which grants him 2,960 dodge rating and costing a little over 50,000 skin stones to max. While not as necessary as his damage for his survival, once you have it, you'll wonder how you ever got along without it. This skin also really makes you realize at the end how much investment he really takes to be amazing, but once he's there, he's quite a daunting foe. This skin is also available for purchase with skin scrolls. A side note is a very common question asked by newer players is what currency used to purchase skins, and the best and only answer is either skin scrolls obtained from the Outland chest or purple artifact coins from the Outland chest. Any uses of the colored skin stones should be solely to level the skins themselves, as the skin is virtually useless without significant investment, and even the 5,000 cost to purchase will not give you 10% of the skin's total required investment. So please invest every skin stone you get into leveling the skins, and be patient with the rest of your currency to purchase the skins to benefit your heroes the most. In our final segment, we will now be discussing stat priority. So what that means is all the stats your heroes can get, which ones are the most important for you to upgrade first to yield the best results. Taking a look at Elmir's glyphs, these are consistent with his items, skins, etc., and that they offer the same type of stats, so we'll use the glyphs chart as a simple means to visualize which stats to build. The first up is armor penetration, which gives a total of 3,300 armor penetration. Just like his artifact, book, and weapon, this will ensure he's doing top-notch damage as often as possible. The second glyph up is his health. It gives a total of 30,800 health, and it is simply put 20% of Elmir's total maximum health, so getting this up early is a great buff to his defense, since he's often in harm's way and based on his positioning he needs to be able to survive enough hits to use his ultimate. It's recommended to move here next. The third glyph to choose is his agility. He gains plus 560 agility or 1,680 physical attack and 560 armor. It's not quite as potent as his physical attack, but it's close. However, this also reduces the chance to be critically hit, as well as the likelihood that enemies will dodge his attacks. The fourth glyph to choose is his physical attack, which adds 2,240 damage. There's not much to say beyond that, he needs as much attack as he can get. The fifth and final glyph to level is his dodge, increasing by 1,120 because his dodge, while nice for his survival, only works against physical hitters, and ultimately contributes less to his overall survival and damage output than the other glyphs. Okay everybody, hopefully you found this video informative and you liked the way I presented the information to you. If you do, please like, follow, and subscribe to my channel. Also, for a large and active Hero Wars mobile community, join my Facebook group called Hero Wars Mobile Community, The GOAT. The link will be in the video description. Thanks for watching.